It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back. Welcome to Weird Week. My name is Jack DeMont. I am your host, Daniel Kim, joined with us today. It's middle of the week. How you feeling?
Middle, very in the middle.
Very in the middle.
Very in the middle.
Very average.
Very average.
I feel that. Very average. I've been just chilling, man. Just living my best life.
But are you chilling like a villain? That's what matters. I don't know why I said that.
I guess it depends on the villain. I'm chilling like Hades and Hercules. Great villain. Chilling like that villain. I guess he wasn't really chilling. He was always kind of hot-headed. That's why he had the fire, and he would... Moving on. Let's get at it.
How about Magneto? Magneto's a great villain.
But is he chilling?
He's somewhat chilling. I mean, he didn't kill all of humanity. He could have.
What was the character? Dr. Freeze? Mr. Freeze? Who was the character Arnold Schwarzenegger played?
Mr. Freeze, yeah.
Mr. Freeze.
Chill out.
Now he's a chill villain. Chill out. Someone named Brian Johnson. He wants to be so chill, man, for the rest of his life. He doesn't want to age at all. He wants to be a bro for the rest of his life. He wants to be chilling. He's doing everything he can. This is the guy that is doing everything he can to try to like essentially de-age. He's trying to reverse the aging process in a way. He wants to be the guy that doesn't find a fountain of youth. He invents the fountain of youth. You know, he wants to find a way to get himself to essentially stop aging. And so he does like everything you can imagine in the book in terms of skincare treatments, the food that he puts into his body and things like that. While he says stuff like the doctors tell him that even though he looks like this age, he has the life of somebody 20 years younger or something like that, right? Stuff like that. But I can tell the guy's still like straightening his hair and dyeing it and shit like that. Like, hey man, it's only gonna work so much. But so the newest thing he's been testing to try to de-age a little bit is something that is like almost like stem cell-y. It's not stem cells, but it's like he's putting his younger son, he's putting his 17-year-old son's blood, injecting it into his own body. I
think it's going to also involve his 70-year-old. They're going to do like a plasma transplant or something like that.
Now, is he trying to get his 70-year-old father's plasma, or he's trying to give his plasma to his 70-year-old father to help his 70-year-old father also like de-age? I doubt he's trying to put older blood into his body.
I think it's more like an experiment at this point. I think he's experimenting.
I can't really read the article because they're trying to charge me like $8 to read a freaking article. But yeah, I mean, either way, this guy has been doing some crazy techniques to try to never age, to stop the aging process. And blood plasma transfusions between him, his son, and his father are all are taking place in order to maybe see if that'll help. I can't imagine. I can't imagine it working. Like, what? I don't understand people like this who don't seem to understand like the aging process. I mean, who really believes that they can stop it or slow it down in such a way? You know what I mean? It's like it's a real thing that happens to everybody. Like, why does someone have to be so obsessed with trying to get it to happen, because like I just don't like. I can maybe understand someone thinking that they can try to like find a way to be immortal in a sense by like maybe infusing themselves with technology or something like that. But to think that you can like de-age or stop yourself from aging, that is something that I'm like, I really don't know how someone has it in their head that they can succeed in something like that, you know?
I mean, well, we might look at him like he's crazy, and it's like everybody ages. But if he does discover something where people, I mean, we also live in a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Superficial, somewhat superficial society where how you look kind of can dictate what happens to you. In some cases, it can even affect your career. But I mean, I can understand from a vanity standpoint where it's just like you can try to look a certain age. Yeah, he also might want to live longer, therefore he has a longer life to fulfill more of his goals that he wants to do while he's here on Earth. So I mean, if he does succeed, it'd be pretty neat.
I mean, it would be neat. Yes. And like it would be a huge thing for all of humanity to discuss and try to like implement. But the idea that it could be successful is so far-fetched, man. It really is. It's not as simple as like I'm trying to find a alternate energy source or something like that. It's like it's something way, way, way more complicated than I think anybody can understand. Really trying to stop or reverse the aging process. But I mean, I do know of some animals in the animal kingdom. I believe it's like a jellyfish, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm thinking of specifically. That literally like reverses an age or does some. There is an animal something out there that has the properties in itself to kind of keep it like living almost forever. But I could be wrong. But if I do recall, I remember reading about like a jellyfish or something like that can do that kind of a thing. So I guess it's not necessarily impossible. Like there are things out there that can slow or stop their aging. So it could be possible for humans to do it. But I just think like, you know, the human body is so much more complex and stuff like that than like a lot of people understand. What are we supposed to, how are we supposed to do something like that? Um,
Yeah, I mean that's why also we research it so we can figure it out more. I think it's also it's life expectancy has gone up as the years have
right.
gone with especially medical advances. I think we might get to a point where I mean, hopefully in the hopeful future, I mean, hopefully again, and hopefully, where I mean, we can live with. I mean, there's many treatments for diseases, and I mean, it's just something like what humans have feared. That death is to tend to be one of them, and aging is somewhat like your marker of a person's. Hey, my life is coming to an end. I might be on the tail end of my life, and and that's kind of to a lot of people that is defeating. Like you start reflecting back on your past. Did I do the right things? Did I choose the right career? Did I choose the right partner? Or I don't know, whatever the questions may be. I mean, people do think about that as they hit the end of their life, and to have advancement to further that life to maybe amend for them is something psychologically. I think it's comforting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna deny that I, I'm afraid of the future in terms of aging and whatnot. Like I am afraid of getting older or dying, like most people. I try not to be, or I try to like reason with myself why it should be okay, you know. But it's hard, and I can understand like someone with vast amounts of money that is starting to see themselves age, like wanting to be part of the solution or just at least research it and whatnot. So like, I mean, I'm glad there's somebody out there doing it, and that, you know, like to see if it is possible. If it is possible, hopefully we can implement it on a grand scale. But I mean, I guess I'm also glad he's the guinea pig and not me, because a lot of the stuff he's doing is really extra. It's really, really like time consuming, money consuming, and like and mentally consuming. Luckily, an 11-year-old boy has been able to postpone his death. This kid called 911 hoping to get some help from the police, and instead they shot him. He's an 11-year-old kid. He called over a domestic disturbance in his home, and it was over his irate father, or not his irate father, the irate father of another of her children. He called to get some help, man, because the guy came in hot, and the cops shot the kid. He's still alive, and
Thank God.
And was released from the hospital, which is, yeah, thank God. I don't know. It's hard. There's a lot of information here in the article, but it's hard to kind of determine whether or not the cop actually understood what was happening and stuff. This is where it's like we get into the conversation of like the competence of the police and whatnot, because it's like a lot of this stuff is a problem, and it's mostly has to do with like incompetence. It's like incompetence mixed with, you know, touches of racism or this, that, and the other, don't mix well together. And I think, you know, cops are one of the only like real careers that like demand competence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one because it was also a domestic violence call, and I know from reports that those tend to be the most dangerous ones, and that those are ones that tend to end in a bad way for an officer. So he couldn't to be called in. Like I said, the article doesn't explain a lot much, like if he went himself, but I would think you would try to call some backup if you know statistically that that's the most dangerous situation you could get into.
Right.
So you can at least have a few people there just to, you know, kind of secure the area, or, you know, probably strategize it better. But it's a horrible story all around, meaning especially for an 11-year-old boy who was just coming around the hall and to only get a bullet to his body to get shot is just that's I don't know, like the trauma that kid might go through for the rest of his life might be just something that I can't comprehend. But
Yeah.
it's
And for the
also
mom, she immediately like put pressure on the wound. She was the first person there when he got shot to like try to like put her hand on the wound and put pressure to stop him from bleeding out and stuff like that. It's like, it's so traumatic for the entire family. My God.
Yeah. So a lot of times you see these cases of cops just going in Rambo style, just shooting. I mean, that's just I don't agree with that method, because I believe there's smarter ways of doing it.
Right.
And I remember during high school there was a career day, and we were able to choose 3 careers, and one of them wasn't the one I chose, which happened to be a police officer. I never had any ambition to becoming one, but because it was required, I did sit through his little presentation. Yeah. And then and the kids, I mean, we're all boys, so like the boys were asking him like, oh, is there any cool shootouts you went to, what kind of guns do you carry? But like what he said was kind of profound, and it still sticks with me to this day. He's like, my most powerful weapon, he pointed to his walkie-talkie, is this. My backup is always my most powerful weapon. And since then, through learning through all these stories of these types of events, it seems correct, man. Like it just seems like if a lone cop is going there with guns ablazing, it always seems to end the worst way possible.
Right.
And I
like,
think,
go ahead.
yeah, there's also this story about this kid that was in in a McDonald's parking lot. He was just eating there, and I don't know who called it in, but they said someone was in the parking lot, and then this cop just like in his body cam showed that he just opened the door and told him to get out of the car with a gun pointed at him. And of course, the kid, he doesn't know what's going on. He's just eating his sandwich and just he drives away and and the cop shoots at him. And it just kind of like, wasn't there a better way of handling this for the cop? I
Right.
mean, the kid probably just freaked out because he doesn't see a badge immediately. He probably
Right.
just saw the barrel of a gun and he just started panicking. So he's like, I don't know, like there's just so many ways that I can critique the cop, and you can like, I don't know, hear about maybe better training, but I don't know, just sometimes I just feel like just take a breather and try to strategize this a little better, because like I said, from what that cop said when I was in high school, it seemed correct. Like call your backup, get second opinion, try to figure this out, how you can
Right.
how you can solve the problem and everybody goes home safely.
Right. I mean, you immediately strip away the trust of whoever when you put the gun in their face like that. You know what I mean? Like the guy sitting in the car that tried to peel away. It's like, yeah, man, like a kid, it doesn't matter if it's a cop or not. He sees a barrel in his face, he's gonna be scared. Like, you doesn't know why anybody is putting a barrel in his face, let alone a cop. And it's like, I can't, if the first thing as you as a cop, you're gonna, instead of like trying to question me or even like, it's just like put a gun in my face, like I'm not gonna trust you as a cop, like period. I'm gonna be like, oh shit, this cop is like crazy. He just fucking put a gun in my face without even asking me what was going on or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, of course he's gonna freak out and trip and whatnot. And it's like, back to the story of this boy, luckily he's still alive and the family gets to, hold him in their arms again. But it's like the body camera footage won't be released. They're not releasing the body camera footage. So it's like,
They
just
haven't
more
released it
questions.
yet. They said, I don't think that the article said that they weren't releasing it. I don't think they didn't release it yet. It was what the article.
It doesn't say anything about yet. It just says that it hasn't been released publicly.
Yeah.
It could be released in the future. Apparently, it's not being released because the investigation is ongoing.
Yeah.
But there's still a chance they will never release the footage after the investigation's done. But yeah, it is. And like, they're just, due to it being an open ongoing investigation, the police department refuses to have any more comments. And it's just like, it's just hard as like a public member of society to know that this is how our law enforcement handles situations. And then like after something like that happens, he's still just being investigated and could possibly still have his job and his badge and everything. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that really is currently making so many people question our judicial system, our law enforcement, and how things are handled in corrections, Now this man, unfortunately, there's an Indiana man who wasn't able to come away with his life. This Indiana man, but this wasn't due to a cop or anything. This was looks like it was an honest mistake. But I think he was going through his grandfather's belongings and there was a grenade in there and somehow set the grenade off. Must have. Oh man. Somebody pulled the pin intentionally. Like, they were probably just doing it to be funny or to have a little fun with what they probably thought was a non-functioning grenade. But they pulled the pin on it. You don't pull the pin on a grenade that you're unsure of whether or not it's active or not. And it looks like the father died and his two children were seriously injured by shrapnel and transported to the local hospital. Pretty rough, man. Pretty rough. Tragic. I hate when accidents like this happen. It's like such a bummer.
I mean, this is I mean, it's a grenade. Apparently,
Well, right.
according to this, this is the first time that something happens. Like a lot of things like people keep grenades from like the wars. Like apparently, it does go off. So yeah, it does happen. Just be careful around explosives.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, it's so unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, you kind of shouldn't have to tell somebody. Don't pull the pin on a grenade. Like right in front of you with salts in your hand, like, and not throw it or something, you know? Like, and especially like if you've never had training, I'm assuming, you know, this guy doesn't has had no formal training with a grenade, or he probably would not have done something as stupid as just pulling a pin to see what would happen, you know?
I'm not sure if he pulled the pin. Did he pull the pin, or did because the investigation says somebody pulled the pin? So it could have been one of those. Because I know grenades have two things that you have that little handle where you squeeze it and you pull it, and until it doesn't technically detonate until you let that grip go. I think
Right.
that's the because I'm not experienced with grenades. I think there's like a two-part system to it, from what I heard.
Right. I'm only assuming it was him because he was the one that died, and the other and his kids just came away with shrapnel wounds. Like, I assume he was the one to do it just because he must have been the closest to it when it exploded. Now, it could have been something weird where it's like one of them pulled it, he freaked out and grabbed it from him, and or something like that. But I I don't know. I have a feeling he pulled it, and wasn't even really probably thinking about it. He probably just like really wasn't thinking about it. But it could have been also one of the kids. I just assume one of the kids would have died if they were the one that pulled it. Maybe one of them pulled it and threw it towards their dad or something as like a joke. Who knows, man? There's not a lot of details, and you would assume like the kids are the only ones that would have the actual information on what happened, and who knows if they'll ever end up telling the truth, or if they already have told the truth and it's just a very simple accident or whatever. But it's rough stuff, man. Investigation is ongoing. That's probably why we're not getting as much information as we'd like. But tragic, so tragic. Too many accidents that happen like that. Yeah, we don't have to get too into it, but
Old relics killing people.
straight up, and like you've heard of people, you know, stepping on like mines out in like old war areas where it's just like they never. What are they supposed to do? Like go and try to find and dig up every mine? Like no, somebody planted mines out in the middle of some shitty place, and people were just like walking around and blew up. You know, you've heard of that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've honestly never heard of anybody.
You've never heard of people stepping on a mine, like from
Well, I've
old
heard of
war
people stepping
things
on
or
mine, but I haven't heard yet to come across a story where it actually happened. Maybe I was just too blind to those stories, but
oh, well, I don't know if I can necessarily name a specific story either. But it's almost like something that you've heard of enough to the point that it's like, this can't be made up. You know what I mean? Like it's a well-known thing across many communities that like careful for landmines in certain areas.
God, we can never go out easy, can we?
No,
I mean, go
especially
out
not
with
in this,
with a peace of mind. That's what I meant. Peace of mind.
yeah, no, not especially not in today's world. And it's kind of crazy to think about because it's like the world used to definitely be more unsafe in the sense that like a long time ago, you know, murder was just murder. Like you killing somebody and that person died, and the family had to just be like, damn. Now it's different. We live in a different world where like we don't accept murder. It's not okay and whatnot. But like now we have so much technology and the ability to murder so easily. It's sad. While we're on the subject of death, this one's kind of like a lighthearted way to look at death almost. But a pizza place called Hell Pizza launched a new buy now, pay when you're dead payment scheme. And supposedly, from what you've told me, this is the owner's way of protesting the buy now, pay later system, because he's had a lot of people coming in and asking to buy now and pay later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying his biggest issue is that it seems like is like the people doing it with food, like industry and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially like quick service things. Like they're not buying anything. It's quick service thing. You're basically exchanging something for food now that you're gonna probably eat now. So he's against that. So he thinks that there shouldn't be any real pressure for buy now, pay later
Right.
type of payments.
Yeah. No, I totally feel where he's coming from, and especially with stuff like what he was saying, the like short term, what'd you call it?
Well, like quick services. Like
Quick
he
service.
thinks, I guess his restaurant shouldn't be the type of service it provides shouldn't be subject to buy now, pay later.
Right. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. Like, how is he supposed to hold anyone to that? Like, layaway pizza? Like, what?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, let's say, because I know I use what's Afterpay a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure how they do it with the vendor, but I know I pay for it within, I think it's like a net 60. It's like they divide the payments into 4, and then you pay the first payment at that moment, and you pay the remaining 3 at a later time. I know that's a thing, but it's also becomes a point where like it's I don't know how it's done with the vendor, but like I'm not sure if they provide the payment and then whereas this pay like Afterpay or Klarna would
Uh-huh.
be the vendor that just has the liability. They act as almost like a bank that loans you the money, and it's their responsibility to take that money from you. So I don't know how the system works. I haven't been on the vendor side of receiving these payments, so I don't know if it's literally like the pizza shop gets the payments as soon as, like, let's say the the broker gets the payment. So it's just kind of, I don't know. It's like I to my understanding, I think they get the full payment.
Right.
Is I don't know. This might be one of the things that it might stem from something else, because I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know the business side, the vendor side of it. So I don't know like how detriment to his finance it's going to be.
Uh-huh.
But he is right
Well,
in saying the fact that like it's ridiculous that you're trying to create 4 installments for a $20 pizza. It's like that's
100%.
ridiculous.
No,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, but I think it's
Um,
also we live in a society now where it's like it's always like give it to me now. Like even with Amazon Prime, I order it on a Saturday night and it gets to me like even sometimes like the next day
yeah.
in the morning. So it just I don't know. We live into this society because a lot of people aren't financially literate. They think that like, oh, let's say for example, $100 I divide into 4 payments. It's technically $25. No, it's $100. You're just divvying up the payments. You
Right.
still, it's like it might be credit cards are tech and those things are technically be used so you can use some of the money for something else. That should it should be response. You should be responsible with these types of payments, because I can see to a person that's not good with their finances be like, oh, I only have to pay $25 for it now. Oh, I can buy more stuff. And then their bills just skyrockets. So
Yeah.
I can see where if that's his intention, it's good. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know the the payment system between the pay later and the
Buy now,
restaurant.
pay later. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works out, but if it is in fact true that he does get 4 different payments for the pizza that he just sold, that's ridiculous. That
Well,
would be
right. And it
ridiculous.
makes, and you kind of make a great point where it's just like, yeah, these kinds of establishments are not, they're not Apple, like if you need to pay off a computer over the course of a year, that's reasonable. But having to pay off a pizza over the course of 4 months is psycho. And for the pizza shop owner whose shop is dependent on the money he gets in order to buy more product, to make more product, Like he needs that money, and him as a small business owner and doing a quick service can't afford to have everybody pay him later. like,
Well, like I said, I don't know if he's getting the money later. I think that's where I'm confused with where he's really going with this. If he's trying to make a financial, like telling like, I know it's a thing with like an older generation telling the younger generation, hey, be smarter with your money. It's just, I know that's a thing, but
Right.
like, I'm not sure if that's the case, like how you're saying, if he gets his payments, if the customer pays that app, or then he has a point. But if he
Right.
gets his money and he's just being a guy that's like trying to be the financial teacher to everybody, that's where I'm kind of like, oh, where does this guy, what's this guy's real stance?
It feels like it's a little bit of both. It feels like he personally had a grudge for the buy now, pay later thing. And when it started coming into his restaurant and people started asking him for that specifically, it probably stepped up another level in his book, in his hatred book, because he just like can't even really wrap his mind around it in a general sense, let alone like in terms of pizza. But I do like the joke he's made here. Like at the end of the day, buy now, pay when you're dead. He has like a fake little contract that you sign. It's pretty funny. And I can appreciate that. I had asked you, I wonder what happens if somebody is willing to sign the paper, because basically saying like, I sell my soul for a pizza. And like, I wonder if he'll give them a discount on the pizza, or if it's like, it is strictly a joke and he's like, no, you still have to pay full price right now, or what. But I do think it's a fun little gimmick in order to kind of make your point.
He is limiting the offer to a certain number of customers. So I'm guessing he might be just doing it to people that like, who know that they won't do it. Like, yeah. So I think, I mean, I don't know. It would be interesting to see if there's actually people that are willing to sign the contract. I was like, yeah, give me my pizza. I'll pay for it when I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean,
50 slices, please. 50 large mushroom and pepperoni.
If it was some damn good pizza and he was offering some sort of a discount or anything, I mean, I would probably even do it, even if he wasn't, just for the funny like sake of signing a pizza life contract or whatever, I'm that kind of guy. Like I'm so like distanced from religion, and not necessarily like intentionally. I'm not a very religious person. That like, to me, that is a pretty funny joke, and I wouldn't really have any kind of problem signing that paper just to be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been another weird week, guys. It's been crazy. Got into some morbid, not so morbid. Luckily, a lot of these people came away with their lives, kind of things. Actually, I don't think there was one thing about a dead person. Oh wait, no, the grenade. Yeah. But all the rest of them, it had something to do with with livelihood, and they all somehow alive. I like that. The grenade guy. Don't pull a pin on a random grenade that you find, guys. It's like probably a bad idea.
Yeah, just die for pizza.
Right. I mean, come on. If you're gonna die, you'd rather die with a pizza in your hand than a grenade. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow, and give us all your money, because we like money. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Or pay for it now and then buy it later. Well, whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Subscribe now and pay for it later. No. Pay us now. We need it now. Peace. Have a good one, guys.